It's Jen from Roses and Purls, and I am down here at Olives and Bananas Fiber Art Store in Thunder Bay, Ontario. And we are going to do a little video today on washing your fleece, because that is something that especially beginners can find a little bit unnerving. People are afraid of felting their fleece or aren't quite sure how to tackle it. So we have a super simple system here that I'm going to walk you through and give you some tips so that you can try a fleece of your own. So the first thing I do when I get a fleece is I do a cold water soak. So for about 24 hours, or I have 2 kids, it usually ends up being about 48, I just take my fleece and I split it. I do about 1 pound at a time, put it in a tub with just cold water, nothing in it, and I let it sit there, and it takes out most of the dirt, which means that it opens up the lock and my soap can get in there to take out the lanolin and things afterwards. It saves me a lot of time, saves me a lot of soap and hot water and a lot of work. So that's the first thing I recommend doing, and then you can pour that water in your vegetable gardens as a fertilizer because there's no soap or anything in it. So it's an easy way to get started. Then what I do is I fill up my tub with the hottest water that will come out of my tap, and I put about 2 tablespoons of Unicorn Power Scour in there, and the Power Scour is formulated to melt lanolin at a lower temperature point, so you don't have to add boiling water or anything. You put your fleece in after you've put your water in because you don't want water running on your fleece, and it's totally okay to go from cold water to hot water. It's not going to felt your fleece. If you go from hot to cold, then you're going to have some problems, but it's okay to take it out of the cold water soak first. So I do my hot soak, let it sit for about 10 minutes, have a glass of wine or a cup of tea, and then come back. You don't want to let it sit too long in your hot water because if it cools down, your lanolin will redeposit on your wool, and sometimes it can be hard to get that out. So let it sit there without cooling down, take it out, dump your water. If it looks pretty dirty, you might want to repeat it a second time with maybe a tablespoon of your scouring agent, put your wool back in, let it sit another 10 minutes, and then I usually do 2 rinses, and that gets all the suds out so that I don't have sticky sudsy wool afterwards. I use I was going to bring it with me and I forgot it, the kids' bathtub thermometers for babies, and I put that in my water, and then I can kind of make sure if it's between 130 and 140 degrees, then it's going to be hot enough to take care of most of my wool. I take it out in handfuls and I spin it, and then I lay it out flat to dry. Another really great system is what Amy has here. She has 2 baskets with holes in them, so she can lay her locks and keep the lock formation, or if you're only washing an ounce or 2 at a time, fill your tub with your hot water, put your locks in here, pop your baskets in, then you can lift them out to drain the water out. The less you handle your locks when they're wet and in the wash, the less chance they're going to felt. So she can drain them out this way and then put them back in for their rinse without having to handle them too much. If you have a salad spinner, you can put your handfuls of wet fleece in there, spin the extra water out. It's almost dry when it comes out of there, and lay it out flat. I have a clothing rack, and I have tulle, like bridal tulle from a veil that I stretch over it, and then I can dry my fleece without it falling through the racks. It usually takes about 3 days to dry, so I turn it over at least once or twice a day, open up the clumps, and then you can take a good look at it, see if anything needs to be flicked out and maybe re-washed, because sometimes the tips won't get really clean, especially if it was a super dirty fleece. But as long as you are avoiding manhandling it in the water, you're avoiding going from hot to cold, then you don't have to worry about felting your fleece. And as long as you keep refilling your rinses with hot water, then you don't have to worry about making sure it's the exact same temperature or anything like that, like some resources will tell you. So hopefully that simplifies it. Nice little system like this, you can do it right in your house. Easy to take outside and dump outside so you don't run it down your drains. And then you have some nice fresh farm fleece to practice spinning from. Thanks.